What lessons can the human rights groups here in the Philippines or other civil society groups learn from this, well, acquittals? How can they fortify maybe their cases or their preparation for a case against Duterte?
Well, I think when activists and human rights lawyers, whether in the Philippines or elsewhere, prepare for accountability, they should prepare for accountability as if they were preparing not just for the ICC, but for any opportunities that arise that will help them pursue accountability. It could be a local court. You might have a transition in which a new government decides it can actually prosecute war crimes, or in this case, crimes against humanity, extrajudicial killings committed in the country. They can prepare for a UN Commission of Inquiry, because that's possible. In Myanmar, for instance, in the Rohingya case, the UN organized several commissions of inquiry that, while they could not go into Myanmar, they were not allowed to visit the Rohingyas, they prepared for that, and documentation was assembled. And now, just yesterday, the pre-trial chamber of the ICC, in fact, said that the ICC prosecutor can proceed to conduct a preliminary examination of the Rohingya case in Myanmar. So documentation is important. Witness protection is also important, as I mentioned in the Kenya case. And witness protection obviously requires more than just a government program, especially here where it's the government that stands accused of extrajudicial killings. There are witness protection processes at the ICC, but they get triggered only at a certain stage of the investigation, not at this point of preliminary examination. There are also countries that might offer witness protection before that process of protection through the ICC takes place. And then finally, I think what's important is to ensure that families of victims, witnesses to the extrajudicial killings, receive the kind of support that they need, economically, socially, especially given that this is going to be a long process. This is not something that will happen overnight or in the next few months. Although hopefully, because this examination has been pending for some time, the prosecutor will act on it, and if it happens that she decides to open a preliminary investigation, this is when now the hard work of human rights activists and lawyers will be needed.
In Kenya, how come there was no support for witness protection from the ICC or from other groups?
There was witness protection. In fact, this is the reason why some Kenyans were also charged with tampering with evidence. In the same way in Bemba, in that Bemba case, there were charges and convictions for tampering with evidence. The ICC faces many of the same problems that courts elsewhere have, that witnesses are intimidated, witnesses are frightened. But that's also partly because in Kenya especially, they politicized the case. That's why there were demands for Kenya to withdraw